Are you able to hear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So last class we started with the other pre, that is the with the pricing, and I also explained that what is the importance the pricing is having, and pricing is said to be the very important element in the marketing mix, and also we learned what is meant by that, and also in order to have the pricing, there are many aspects which has to be thought in hand, right? One to be the perception of the value, another one to be the product cost, and in between these two, there is other factors also considered to be very important, which is influencing the level of price or maybe the pricing decision within this ceiling as well as flooring. The prices can be set, right? So on that basis, we started with a categorization of the pricing, which can be either the value based pricing or the cost based pricing. And along with that, we saw in the value based pricing, right, we have good value pricing and value added pricing. And that was supported again by cost based pricing. And in the cost based pricing, that we happen to look at what are the costs that is really involved in the production or maybe distribution and promotion, whatever that we may come across, right? So the cost also was taken into concern, and not only the cost, but also we have a markup when we are deciding on the prices based on the cost based pricing. So markup is there or margin is there. So the margin is considered to be the profit. So the return that we really wanted for the investment that we have had, right? And also in the cost, we came across the fixed cost, the variable cost, and what is said to be the fixed cost, what is said to be the variable cost also was taken. And based on that, we wanted to identify the average cost, and the average cost calculations has been made based on the total cost divided by the number of units that is being produced, and we found the average cost. And again, in the average cost, we saw that the pattern of the average cost to be having about a U shape, right? So where at the beginning, to a certain extent, that the average cost will tend to reduce, but thereafter, after the point, that will also increase with. So we know why the increment happened, right? And along with that, we saw the pricing based on the cost. It can be the break-even pricing, the target profit pricing, and how the target profit pricing as well as the break-even pricing is being set aside, right? And with that, we concluded with the cost-based pricing as well as the value-based pricing. And these are the two very important areas to be considered. And not only that, there is also some other factors which has to be taken into consideration. So that has been the marketing strategy objectives and also the market demand. And along with that, we have to look into the competitors' strategies and price. Right? So, in that factors that is influencing, that is internal or external factors, we consider the very important one to be who are setting about the prices, right? So it can be the people who are in the responsibility of marketing, or it can be the financial people, or even it can be the top level people, right? But whoever that is setting the price according to their requirement or according to their expectation, the prices would be set. And not only the prices to be set, but also the pricing can be influenced by other parties also, with the connectivity they have with the person who is setting the price, right? So that also that we saw. Then, apart from that, we went on looking into the market demand, right? So, what is the condition of the market and what is the demand that we are having about market? Of course, we can divide the market into very mainly as four. That is called to be the market structure based on the competition. So we found that there are to be the pure competition, monopolistic and oligopolistic, as well as a pure monopoly, right? So we know what are the characters of each of these markets. So depending on the market's characters or market structure, we have to set the price. So as an example, I said, in case if it is a pure competition, we have to take about the average price of the industry. If we are not setting aside the price according to that, what will happen is ultimately or at the end that we will be losing the demand. So either it is not possible for us to increase the price or decrease the price because the condition is pure competition. But in case if it is a pure monopoly, then of course, according to our wish, that we can increase the price for the reason that there is no competition in the marketplace, the supplier being only one, and because of that, much of demand is being placed on one single supplier, so we can increase the price. So this is also going to determine what is the price level we are going to set aside. Right. So we could have explored into the demand curve, right? So normally the demand curve is explained as having about an inverse relationship between the quantity demanded as well as price, right? So if the prices are very much higher, then the demand will come down, and vice versa also it can happen. But everything depends on the elasticity of the particular product. So the situation which I was telling about is an example of elastic demand, where for the smaller changes of prices, that you will have bigger changes of bigger changes in the demand side, right? So that is said to be the elastic demand. And in elastic, of course, we know if the prices change, even the quantity that is being changing will be relatively low. So depending on the elasticity of the demand, also you can have about the prices set aside. Right? So price elasticity of demand, that we really know what it is meant by, right? In elastic demand and elastic demand, and this demand elasticity of demand is being found by the rate of change in the quantity demanded, which is divided by the rate of change or the percentage in the prices, right? And of course, also we said it is with the competitors strategies also as well, right? So what we have to do is we have to have a comparison of our offering in terms of value, right? Customer value, in the sense customers what is the perception that they are having towards our products, right? So there is a comparison. What is the perception that they have regarding our products compared to the thing that they are having with the competitors. എല്ലാം ആ നിങ്ങൾ ആ ഞാനത് ഫ്രീ എവിടെ ശരി ശരി ഓക്കെ ഓക്കെ So it's a comparison we have to make about regarding of the customer value, right? So what is the perception the customers are having of our product and service compared to the product and service of the competitor, right? And what is the strength of the competitors? Now, say if we are setting a price at a lower level, maybe the competitors also can do it in a fortnight, or it may be happening in a very shorter period of time. So we have to see what is their strength, whether that they are able to reduce the price. So why the reason that we are reducing the price is that we wanted to increase the quantity uh, under the circumstances where the competitors cannot do it. But if the competitors can do the same as that we do, then of course it may not be materializing on our objective where that we wanted to increase our revenue, right? So the strength of the competitors are also said to be very important. Then the competition pricing strategies. Now, what are the competitive pricing that they and we are having about, right? So they may be having about a price reduction or price increment or promotional effort, right? So many things that they may be by advertising or whatever, right? So they may be able to overcome our competitive position, right? In the sense sometimes they are able to capture our competitive position based on the pricing. So it may be very important for us to check and see what are the pricing strategies that they are having about, right? So that has to be taken also into consideration when we are setting aside the price, right? And also the price sensitivity of the customers is also another point for us to consider, for the reason we know most of us, or like a larger population of ourselves, is price sensitive. We, even that we have enough of income to purchase, we are most of the time price sensitive. Price is the very important factor when we are considering for the purchase. So if we are having about the purchase intention, that intention will or it would have been formed by the prices that have been set for the products and services, right? So price sensitivity is also very important. If they are not price sensitive, then we don't mind of increasing, or we can have the prices to be in a higher level. But price sensitive customers, where that we are targeting about, or the market that we are going with our products and services, if that market is very much price sensitive, in the sense the customers are price sensitive, then we have to be very careful of fixing about the prices. Most of the time, the prices, if it is lower, then we will be having about a higher demand, but always it is not guaranteed. For the reason that maybe depending on the product, or maybe depending on what sort of income that is being generated, right? So number of things that are going to determine it. So we have to be also very concerned about the customer's price sensitivity, right? So this is also said to be uh, a important factor. And not only that, there are also like very external, right, factors that is influencing on the pricing, right? Economic condition that we know, the particular country as well as the country's economical conditions, which are going to influence the consumers, right, on their purchasing behavior, right? Because the income depends on the economic condition, the savings depends on the economic condition, the interest rate that is being generated, it depends on the economic conditions. So these are the mechanisms through which that the consumer's purchasing power can be increasing, right? So, if the economic condition is good, the purchasing power would be good. But if it is other way around, the purchasing power is very much lower. So, in case if the purchasing power is not to our expectation, then we have to really reduce. We cannot have very high prices for our products. So, in that junction, these economic conditions also have to be looked at. Okay? The other one to be resellers' response to our pricing, because we know resellers are the people who are working for our betterment, right? So we know they to be the distributors. So distributors can be the wholesalers or they can be the retailers, right? Sometimes they can be the middleman, the agents, the brokers. Number of people can act between us as well as the customers, right? So if we are having about the distributors to channel our product to the consumers, then of course the price is a matter. How much of price that we are going to fix over? Because as these reseller people, they are also organizations, so they also have to generate the profits, right? So they are not merely there to transfer or to make our products available to the customers, right? So they as an organizations are wanted to give about the services. For that services they will be charging something, right? So when they are charging off, that will be affecting about the price. So we have to be very careful when resellers are involved here. What is the price that we have to charge? If we charge higher prices, again in turn resellers also charge higher prices, then there may not be a higher demand for our products, right? So this is also a very important concern. Apart from that, we can see government, right? Government, of course, they also have certain regulations, right? Rules and regulations that they are posing over these prices. Sometimes in some periods there will be controlled price, so we cannot like increase our price as that we wanted, right? So we have to be beyond. We have to be below that or to that level, right? So government policies and also sometimes what is the tax that the government is placing on to the particular businesses. So if the tax is being more, we know it is an indirect tax, no, which is being charged. So easily we can transfer that tax to the consumer side, right? So we have to also look into the government's tax or government's activity, so that based on that we can decide on our pricing. And along with that, another one thing for us to look into is a social concern. So when you are fixing about the price, there is also ethical morality which has to be really taken into. Right? So though we are business, I mean we are working for profits. Of course, that cannot be denied. But of course, with that we are having a real societal concern, right? Whether all the people will be able to pay this price, or whether that we are only targeting about a certain segments of people and leaving about the rest of the people not to have the product consumed with, right? So some organizations, of course, regarding of the what you call availability of their products to many people, they may be having different prices. So it is most of the time called as segment pricing. Right now, segment pricing in the sense lately we will be studying about what is the segment pricing. The same facility will be available in different prices. Now, say for an instance, if we are going to Lotus Tower, right? How much of price differences that you will observe, no? But all are going to see the Lotus Tower. There is no any differences between the tickets that they are taking. If you are a children, then of course a different price that you will be paying. If you are an adult, then different price. If you are a foreigner, then that would be different price, right? So the same thing is available, or the same thing can be accessed, but by different pricing, right? So that of course is said to be social concern, because children, of course, they are not income earners. So if they are not income earners, then of course we have to give some concessions for them. If they are foreigners, of course, they have more earning and more money or more wealth is there. them, so we can be charging about higher prices, right? So these are some of the matters for us to consider when we are setting about the price. Okay. Now I'll just go back. Yeah. This is what that we have to take into consideration when we are setting about the prices. So mainly we saw about the customer perception of the value. So based on that, we can have the price ceiling, right? And not only that, value-based pricing is also based on this particular concept. Then going to the other hand, that to be the product cost, and we cannot have the price is lower than this for the reason that we cannot generate anything, or the company cannot have any profits or any income for themselves. So it is pointless as an organization for them to function, right? So they have to have about some returns over. So what will be determining what the price or how much the price can be lower is the cost that is involved. So, and when you talk about the cost, we have to also consider about the margin that is been fixed into, right? Uh, so, so that is that, and based on that, that we have seen about cost-based pricing. So it can be the break-even pricing, the target pricing, that number of pricing methods are coming out when we are concerned with the cost, right? And in addition to that, there are other things, internal and external consideration that we have to have on, right? So that to be the marketing strategy objectives and the mix, and also about the market and the demand, which we uh, uh, today saw about, and yesterday we had a half of it, and also the competitor strategies and price, right? So this is one part. Now we will move into in the pricing itself. This is called as so hold on for a moment.
Recording stopped.
You are able to see the screen now again?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Right. So, what that we have learned earlier are the basic things when we are going for the pricing of the products, right? But apart from that, we can have some pricing strategies also as well, right? Hold on. Right. So up to now, we have learned what are the basic things involved in the pricing of the products. But apart from that, there are pricing strategies also. There are some other mechanisms that we really have to move on apart from what that we have really considered. So really we have considered about the value of the customers and of course about the product cost or the production, uh, not really production cost, but of course with the production, there are many costs also involved. So the cost component of the product, and apart from that, some internal, external factors to be considered, right? But there are other situations also where that we have to have some thoughts about how the pricing can happen. Right? There are other situations which I'll be showing. Right. So through these are the things that we are going to learn about. Right. What are the major strategies which are there when the prices or when the pricing is being considered when we are introducing the new product. Right. So this aspect that we have not seen previously. Now this is a situation. Okay. So in case when the new products are introduced to the market, then what can be the strategies that we are going to have about. And when the product mix is concerned, what is product mix? It is about the product lines, the collection of the product lines with the product items. Now, so if when the product mix is being considered, right? So at that time, in order to get more profits, what sort of pricings that we can have, right? So these are some additional consideration, right? But you should not forget about the basic things that we have learned regarding of pricing. These are some of the additional concerns that we have when the pricing is being a matter, right? So when the new products are being introduced, then what sort of pricing that we can have? When the product mix is being considered, in the sense in order to have more profits, how that we can be making about the pricing, right? And also in some instances the companies has to adjust about the price regarding of different customers and different situations. So they cannot be sticking into one pricing, or they cannot be sticking to one price, right? So depending on the customers, and now one example I told, like segments, right? So depending on the customers, right? So customers can be small children, they can be adults, they can be foreigners, right? So depending on the customers type, the prices also and their situation, the prices also have to be decided on, right? So that is also one thing. Plus to that, we will be seeing about how when the price changes taken place, right? So prices can increase. There is a possibility the prices to increase or the prices to come down, right? So that is what we call it as price changes. So what are the issues that we will come across when the prices have been changing with, right? So uh, so based on that, now we will move into the first type or the first situation that is being the new product pricing strategy. When the product is being introduced into the market, what sort of pricing that they can be having, right? Uh, of course, this is what that we are going to see about, right? So, but what are the possible pricing for the new product, right? So, if that question is being asked, we will get two answers, or we have the option as market skimming pricing and the market penetration pricing, right? So, there are two pricing that we can have when the new product is being introduced. That is the possibility. That is the option for a company, right? So pricing is being decided on a new product when the new product is being introduced, right? So market skimming and the market penetration strategy or market penetration pricing. Right? So if just we wanted to know what is meant by those pricing or what is right really have in those strategies or in that insight, market skimming pricing, of course, at the initial stage itself, that we are having high prices, right? When the product is being introduced into the market, uh, at time that we are introducing with a high price, right? So that is what I mean by skimming, right? Uh, for the reason that we want to skim the revenues at the early stage itself, right? Now, say when a new product comes, there will be many people prefer to purchase it, right? Since that it is matching with their requirement or their need can be fulfilled with, or there may be any reasons, special reasons for them to have that particular product, right? So, in case when the product is coming out at the initial stage or at the first time or maybe as a new product when it is coming, we are trying to get maximum revenue at the initial stage itself. Afterwards, when maybe the product is afterwards, the consumers may be deciding maybe that product is not good or it is not accordance to what that we have expected, or there is competitor product which is better than this, right? That sort of what you call opinions can be formed thereafter, right? But we try to capture about, or we try to maximize the opportunity by having about higher prices for the product when it is being newly introduced into the market. So that is what we call it as a market skimming, right? Market skimming pricing, right? So now for this, really there is some conditions also. The product quality and the image must support the price, right? So when they are seeing about, or when they are having about the product reviews, or when other people are speaking about that, uh, they have to really get convinced with the prices or the higher prices which are being set aside for these new product, right? So product quality and image is very important, and the cost of producing the product in small volume should cannot be cancelled the advantage of the higher prices, right? Now say we are not having a bulk of product or bulk of units to be produced, because some of the consumers, of course, that they don't prefer the products which are available freely, or not actually freely available at all the hands, right? See, so they wanted what do you call, some sort of a status of having this particular product, or a feeling that it is being a prestige for them to have, right? So this type of products, they don't wanted that to be available uh, to the hands of all the consumers, right? So we have to be, very concerned about the volume of the production. So since the volume of the production to be smaller, the cost of producing that will be higher, right? So we have to take the income from, or we must be able to take about the what you cost that is incurred by having about the prices to be higher, right? And also the competitor should not be able to enter the market easily, right? So if we have a such type of an advantage, this advantage must be able to be sustained for a period of time, right? Like suppose if we introduce that, and all of a sudden the competitors are penetrated into the market, then of course the advantage we may not be able to get, right? At the introduction only we will be getting. Thereafter, of course, we may not be able to have such type of a benefit. So here, if there is unlikely of competitors entering into the market, then we can have this price skimming, right? The market penetration strategy, this is vice versa, right? So where that we are setting aside the prices at the lower level, right? So comparatively, these prices would be lower than the competitors. Main like focus is our prices to be considered to be the very cheapest one compared to the competitors, right? So at the initial stage, right, if it is available at a lower price, what is the possibility that we have is we will be able to penetrate into the markets. What it is called as market penetrating, or market penetration pricing, right? So we are able to move into the market very quickly. We can access the market very quickly. So therefore, many of the people will get attracted with, because as I have already told you, all the almost all the consumers are price sensitive people, right? So when the product is available at a lower prices, they are very quick to purchase it, and of course that they are having the purchasing power also to do it, right? So the availability of money is with them, so they can really purchase it. So this is one way of pricing, right? So the market skimming as well as market penetrating or penetration pricing is the two types of pricing we can have when the product is being introduced newly into the market, right? Other one is, the other concern is about the product mix pricing strategies, right? So when the product mix is being concerned, right, we know what is mix, right? That is the collection of product lines. So when the product mixing is being concerned with, what sort of pricing that we have to have in order to maximize the profits, right? So under that we can see there is a product line pricing, optional product pricing, right? Captive product pricing, byproduct pricing, and of course the product bundling pricing, right? So those are the pricing strategies or pricing options or the pricing tactics that we can have under this situation. So new product, two pricing that we had. Now with respect to the product mix pricing, there are about 5 pricing that we have. Right. So what is meant by this product line pricing is really it takes into account the cost differences between products in the line, right? So now say for an instance, you can even see the example here, right? Now this is regarding of the shampoo. Okay, so there is normal hair shampoo, anti-dandruff shampoo, right? Hair fall defense as well as the oily hair, right? Now, if you look at the prices of this shampoo, most of the time that we take into concern about the cost differences, right? But depending on the features, the prices have been set. Now, just see normal hair, it is around 390, right? If it is a special purpose one, then of course that the prices are little bit higher, but not there is a vast differences between the prices, but of course there is a slight gap that you can be seeing. So that is because of the special features. Based on the customer's evaluation, I mean customers are perceiving that this will be really benefiting them, right? But in the product line, right, we cannot have a larger differences. So now say the normal hair to be 390 and about the anti-dandruff shampoo to be 690 or something like that, right? Almost like in a 1 rupee differences, we will have the prices. So this is what we call it as a product line pricing, right? Because it falls into the same variety, right? So product line pricing. The optional product pricing takes into consideration what are the optionals or accessory things that is coming along, right? Now, this is a good example, I think, which is been disclosed here. Now, take about, right, a car with an ordinary rim, right? It costs us about 59, right? But of course, if it is a car with sports rim, then of course it is costing about 60, right? 60,000 it is been costing about, right? Now, if this option is not available or if we are not opt for this option, then of course we can purchase the car with this price, right? So if options are wanted, right, most of the time, right, if you take about the what you call laptop, right? What is the capacity it has? Right now, we will go for option. What sort of RAM that we want? What sort of processor that we want? Right? What sort of speed that we want? Right? Many things we will be deciding as options. So if you want a good one or if you want a fastest one, then of course you have to give more charges. That in the sense, now we can have as an optional price. Not necessary that all are going to purchase it, right? For the people who prefer that to be better or that to be good or that to be better feature, that they can pay the prices. So no need for all to pay the higher prices. So that is what we call it as a optional product pricing. Captive product pricing, of course, involves with that, with the products that must be used along with the main product, right? Now, say for an instance, right, the clock without battery cannot, right, or the tire without a tube. Now, tubeless is there, but earlier we would say that the tire without the tube, that it is not functional, right? So, therefore, when you are having about the pricing, that you can have a what you call advantage taken with, right, because both of the products are a complementary products. Without this the other one can be used. Means even the main product will be uh, not operational if the complementary product is available, right? So if it is not available, then of course we cannot even use about the main, right? So in that situation, we can have a captive product pricing. So captive product pricing, of course, will take an advantage over the complementary, right, situations. And the next one to be byproduct pricing, right? So when the products are being introduced into, right, there is, or when the products are being produced, there are some byproducts also, right? So the byproducts cannot be left out without any value. Therefore, that we may be able to give it as a what do you call, as a lower cost product to the consumers who are purchasing the main one, right? So here products, of course, which is coming with the main product as a byproduct, that we may be able to by many of the distributing centers, right? So maybe one bottle costs us about 2 cents. If it's been bundled, that is two bottles together, then you can get it for 490, which is of course not the double of the single price, right? So by doubling, sometimes you will see an advertisement saying that as a bundle one, you can save about 10 rupees or 50 rupees savings, that you may be able to get. With it again. Yeah, right. So therefore, that you will be able to get it in a lower price, right? So maybe that we may not require about two items, but since it is being bundled or bundle pricing is being applied, we are being induced to purchase such products, right? So that is the product bundling pricing, right? So that is the second thing that we saw. Now we move to the price adjustment strategies, right? So uh, under these price adjustment strategies, in the sense we cannot be steadily fixed with a single price, right? So depending on many situations or circumstances, or it may be the types of market that we are going about, or the consumers and the consumer behavior, right? Many things will be requiring us to have a price adjustments, right? So under the price adjustment strategies, right, we also may come across these strategies as discounted or discount and allowance pricing, segmented pricing, psychological pricing, promotional pricing, geographical pricing, and also the dynamic pricing. So this is the third situation, the price adjustment strategies, So based on these price adjustment strategies, there are some of the pricings that is available, which that we can be able to see. Of course, I'm not going to deal much about this international pricing. Of course, if it is international markets, then we can have different types of prices set aside. Right? Now, discounted and allowance pricing, of course. Now, if the consumers might pay the what you call pay the price immediately or well in advance when they are paying about, right? Or maybe in cash when they pay about, right? We try to give discounts, right? So it will be reducing the prices where the customers are. Customer response is being acknowledged most of the time, right? So by this, that even you can be promoting about the product to the customers, right? So this is called discount or allowance, right? So it can be discounts and it can be allowances also, right? So discounts in the sense that will be having about immediate effect on the price. But of course, when it comes to the allowances, right? So we maybe use it for our future purchase, right? So like getting about a voucher or something when you come at your next instance for the purchasing, right? Right. So discounts, of course, it can be cash discounts, right? When the payments are being made very immediately, or it can be quantity discounts for buying a larger volume. So by that also, you will get about the discounts. Allowance, of course, is a trade allowance for turning in an old item for new. That is also one thing that they look into when you are giving about the old item for new item. Then there is an allowances. That is a small reduction in the prices that you are having about, right? And also for the distributors who are participating in the promotional activities also, for them the allowances can be provided. That is merely for the distributors. Then the segmented pricing, right? Here the company is trying to sell about the product maybe at two or more prices, where that the differences are not much, right? So by product, there is not much of differences that you will be able to see about. Right? So in that, you can have customer segment pricing. So for different customers, different prices that you are going to charge about. That is an example I earlier also told about. It can be product form segmented pricing, right? So when there is a different version of the product, in the sense there may be different models. Maybe the product is one, but there may be different models. So depending on the differences of that, then the prices also can be different. In some instances, it can be the location pricing. So depending on the geographical area where the product is being sold, that there is differences in the prices, right? So that is called that. Then coming into the psychological pricing, so we know what is meant by psychological pricing, isn't it? Right? So the people are being attracted towards the price based on, the way it is being set, right? Now, a good example you would see for Bata, like though it is 1,000, the price is not set as 1,000, that to be 999 something like that. So most of the companies are also following the psychological pricing. The other one to be the reference pricing, right, is now really trying to match about what is the price that we intended to pay for the particular product. Maybe through the advertisements or maybe through some of the awareness, the product gets into the minds of the consumers or by advertisement. It gets into the minds of the consumers. And when they see about, right, they themselves will decide on the price, right? So we try to capture about that particular prices, right? So it may be based on the current prices or what experience that they have earlier had about, or maybe depending on the buying situation. Then comes the promotional pricing, right? In order to increase the sales, right, temporarily the prices are being adjusted, right? So most of the time it is reducing about the prices in some of the situations where the sales had been very much lower, right? So maybe depending on the period where that the sales would be lower, right? Or maybe depending on the situation where the sales will be lower, depending on the customers the usage of the customers at that particular time, maybe the usage may be lower. So, in order to increase the sales, we are temporarily, right, having the prices very lower, right? So, that is what we call it as a promotional pricing, right? So, in the situation may be loss leaders, right? So, maybe our customers are being captured by the competitors. So in that situation that we have to reduce it. So in some instances, because of certain events, right? So it can be like festivals, or it can be some celebrations that we are having, right? At that circumstances for us to reduce, and also it can be cash rebates, right? So even the voucher that I was earlier also talking about can come into the cash rebates, right? Where that we purchase things with a rebate, so next time that we can be using that. And low interest financing also. So in case if you have bought it or if you try to buy it in a credit basis, then we may have a reduction on the interest that is being paid. Okay, so and longer warranties, right? So if the product has been warranted only for 1 year, because of this promotional pricing, we will say 1 year and 2 months, the warranty is been prolonging, and also free maintenance. So maybe like for the bought product, some services are wanted with. Now, say for instance, if you purchase a bike, right, 2 or 3 times when the services are wanted, it is been provided free of charge, right? So that is free maintenance. Okay, so these are some elaborations given for, right? So what I was talking. So there is also risk in the promotional pricing, right? If we are using that too frequently, of course, there will be larger losses the companies been incurring with, right? And in some instances, customers are waiting until that you have the promotional pricing so that they don't go for the normal purchase, right? In some instances, it is being creating about the a price wars also. Okay, so geographical pricing, of course, depending on the parts of the particular country, that the prices are being really different, because some places the product availability is higher, some places the product availability is lower, right? So in order to, I mean, be waiting for the product, right? So they may be reducing about the prices, right? So that is called to be the geographical one. Dynamic pricing, of course, regarding of the characteristics as well as the customers, right? Or maybe the situation, they try to reduce, or they try to change about the prices. Dynamic pricing in the sense the prices doesn't remain as unchanged, right? So it is being changed based on the characteristics or situations or whatever. So that is called dynamic pricing, as well as this international pricing when we go out of the country based on the factors of the particular countries, that we can have different prices charged. Okay, right. So there is a small part to be covered, uh, but I will take it in my next class. Okay, then, thank you.